Hello, beautiful souls. On our podcast today, Unleashed Goddesses Among Us, we're going to talk to you about mental illness, specifically depression and the effects of depression. And then we're going to share with this goddess's story how she overcame it. I am your co host, Kara Maldonado.
I'm your other co-host, Kimberly Anderson. And yes, we have a deep, very touching conversation today. I would say that probably in some way or another, every family has had to deal with a crisis like this. And it is definitely something that affects many people.
More than we know.
Mm.
And there's so many different levels and severities of mental illness. Many times it goes undiagnosed. And unfortunately, when that happens, it could spiral out of control, or it can lead to individuals self medicating themselves, which then brings on other issues like addiction, alcoholism, and sometimes all of the above. In this particular situation, the individual took very severe and dire measures trying to escape the depression that she was going through. I know, Kimberly, you had an opportunity to speak at length with her. Can you
Yeah,
share a little bit of her story as to what led up to the depression?
absolutely. This goddess, it really touched my heart with her story, as they all do. She grew up in a dysfunctional family. We're not saying anything bad or anything about families, but it leaves the scars. And she talked about how that left scars on her and she carried that throughout her life. And it was dysfunctional. There was alcohol. There was a lot of things that happened in her family life as she was growing up, and it affected her. And those things affect you, whether we want to believe it or not. They do. They affect us in work, relationship, just ourself, and even how we move forward. And I think we've touched on this a few times. It affects your confidence, even as you're growing up into a young woman and then, into your professional career. And she one of her coping mechanisms, which I think a lot of people can identify with, is she tried to be perfect. She had to be, I know you can. She tried to be perfect in everything that she did too. It was school, it was the things that she could control. And so when she wasn't able to, have that perfection in her mind, that just went back into digging deeper into those scars of not being good enough and that kind of abuse that she carried with her. And at some point in her adult life, it turned into severe depression. And she was really, really struggling. She
Wow.
just couldn't function and, started looking into things that she could do, including to, say goodbye to this world.
So, what I hear you saying is that at some point the hopelessness came over her so severely that the only way that she felt that made sense to her at that state was to just unalive herself at whatever cost. Was everyone else and this world would be a better place if I wasn't here,
Yeah.
and that's part of the mental illness that comes with all the abuse and suppressing the abuse, because if we ignore it long enough, we think it's going to go away and it didn't happen and it's not there. But like you said, it leaves significant scars that can trigger at any time, watching a movie, smelling something, being put in an uncomfortable situation, may it even be at work or with a friend or in a relationship, an intimate relationship. triggers will flare up. And if you don't know how to cope with them or even understand why it's happening, sometimes the mind will tell you, this is the easiest way out.
Mhm.
You know, this is the easiest way out for me to stop hurting,
Yeah,
to stop being in that kind of pain. I'm just going to say goodbye to the world. And that's kind of where she was at that time.
yeah. What I find interesting too is that this that kind of depression, it happens everywhere. You
Yes.
know, how many times do we hear of celebrities even taking their
Right.
own lives? And for her, it was just it became an answer. And I find it interesting, like you were just talking about, is how your mind tricks you into thinking that's 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 the right path to take.
Right.
And it's not. You leave so many heartbroken victims in the
Right.
trail,
Mhm.
you know, and the when you go through something like that. And I just think for her, when she got to that place, she wound up actually being introduced to breath work, and it gave her another thing to focus on. So instead of having to be perfect every day of every minute in every way, which she was no longer able to do,
Right.
she found this. And it she says it saved her life. It
That's good.
absolutely saved her life by your breath. And it gives me chills when I talk about it because
Yeah.
when you think about breathing, we don't think that we're
Right.
not thinking about it, right? We're not
Right.
thinking about the fact that we're sitting here having a conversation and we're breathing.
Yeah.
But breath is life.
That's true.
And when you think about that and you really kind of dive into that kind of therapy and that therapeutic modality, she just embraced that. And it took her down a path of healing. And she now teaches people about how to breathe and what that kind of breath work will do for you. And it allows you to release.
Hmm.
It's pretty incredible. Just being able to breathe,
Right.
and it healed her. It's completely mind-boggling that that's the modality that helped heal her and completely changed her life from wanting to remove herself from this earth to pursuing helping other people learn to breathe to heal. Oh, gives me chills.
Yeah, I love that. I always equate it with for those of us who've had children, have had babies. And if you take the prenatal classes and whatnot, that's one of the things they do teach you is the it's an art. The form of breathing, and breathing and I'm gonna take it a little further because I'm woo woo, is blowing out the negative energy,
Yeah.
breathing in the positivity and blowing out the negative energy and being able to hold it, through the counts and all those different things. And you're absolutely right, just coming from a standpoint of healing, if you're exercising, if you're having a child, if you hurt yourself, and they always say, slow your breathing down, right? It
Mhm.
slows your heart down. It keeps you from the anxiety coming or from stroke or all these different things that can possibly happen, a heart attack. If you're,
Yeah.
in an accident or doing too much, they always tell you is to breathe slow, breathe in, blow it out. Right.
Yeah.
And we're not thinking about it in the sense that it's therapeutic, but it really is. And to just be somewhere in a quiet place and close your eyes and let your body start to heal from within and without you all I can see how that was so beneficial for her. And it's remarkable. You think that to go through the level of trauma that she went through that put her in a place to even consider or have a conversation in her head
Mm.
about doing something like that, the breath work being something we take for granted. We're walking around every day having to breathe, or else, we wouldn't be here. Something that small and that everyone is doing to be a factor that was her aha moment.
Mhm.
Like, I am worthy. I am worthy. I'm important, and I can heal from this trauma. And to start at that level, I think that's beautiful, and for her to then seek out, how can I be useful now
Mhm.
that getting myself to a place where I'm starting to love myself, feel good about myself, how can I now go and share my story? That's she was powerful. And she had that weak moment, but look how powerful that she turned around and took that vulnerability, that shame, that guilt, and shared it with other individuals
Yeah.
like that had the same thoughts or worse,
Right.
and said, "Hey, let's try this. Here, I'll work with you. I'll show you how." Because you know what? I was there. And that is the most important thing. When someone comes to you with an idea, a solution, a resource, and can back it up with, I honestly know what you're going through because I was there.
Right?
That's what makes it real.
Yeah.
That really makes it real then.
Yeah.
Um,
It's she talks about it in her chapter, and I have it right here in front of me. And because it's just the little moments remind me of that conversation. And she talks about 70% of our energy comes from oxygen. And I know from the research I've done that we as women, we are very shallow breathers.
yes.
And we have to stop and actually think to take a deep breath. And like you were talking about with, giving birth or having to um, move through pain of any kind, they talk
Right.
about slow your breathing down, take deep breaths, and it's very intentional.
Mhm.
And even in meditation and yoga, there's breathing techniques that go along with those things. And it makes me want to take a deeper breath right now, right? Like everybody else breathing deep too
Right?
now.
Let's all do it together.
Yeah, little fun fact.
Right.
So men, because they have a larger lung capacity anyway, they already breathe deep.
Yes.
And that is one key reason why they lose weight faster is because their breath, it helps also ladies
Yeah.
with weight loss.
Mhm.
If that's something that you are on that journey, that is something that helps with that because if you're holding everything stifled and rigid, it's about being in the flow. And that's what this
Yeah.
goddess tapped into. And it helped release just all of this trauma in her life. And she is just doing so many things. And she even talks about how it helps with disease,
Mhm.
lessening the chance of disease because of breath.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
incredible.
It's about your circulation. When
Yeah.
what you're doing is breathing in and you're breathing in clean air that's going to go through your blood vessels and everything, and you blow out the bad. That's the whole, and that's what helps too with the metabolism and everything that starts to burn the fat that you were talking about. And that's when you run. And if you don't have the proper breathing technique when you're doing
Mm.
cardio and you keep going, why is it not working? Why is it not working? I've been in the gym for 2 hours, but a lot of it has to do with the breathing mechanism, your technique that you're using. And if you're not breathing correctly, your body starts to shut down and it goes into protective mode.
Yep.
So you're not going to be burning off the calories. You're not going to, it's protecting, it's holding on to the fat that protects the body. And that's what it's thinking. You're trying to starve me, you're trying to kill me, you're trying to do, and so I'm going to protect you and I'm going to shut it down. So everything is all about the correct technique.
Yep.
And she found it, she figured it out, it helped her. And like you said, it was intentional, and everything that we do needs to be intentional. From the moment you wake up and start your day, what is your intentions? Is your intentions to get better? To do better today, to be a better person? What is it? And those are the things that really make a difference as if you want to see the results or not.
Mhm.
Or are we just talking to talk? We have to start walking the walk to make it happen. And that's what our platform is all about, is sharing stories like this, how everyone has had some trauma or know someone in their life. And I honestly don't think anyone has been scathed from trauma. They just don't know it yet. We're humans. They just don't know it yet. Trauma doesn't always have to be, oh my gosh, she's got a black eye or a broken, bone in her body. Like I've said before, it could be psychological, spiritual, natural, older abuse. There's so many different kind of
Mhm.
traumas that happen to people. And a lot of us just suppress it or think it's normal, are too ashamed to speak about it, are afraid. Fear is a big, big, big motivator for you to walk around with scars that are unhealed in your life. And you have to find that way to open up, talk about it, share your story, so that then it gives permission to other individuals to want to share theirs as well. And that's when the healing begins, and we all start healing.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
anything we've said today resonates with you, like, share, subscribe, please talk about it and drop a comment. Let us know your story or a specific topic you want us to talk about.
Yes.
Thank you so
And
much.
another thing too with the breath, people, if we sit down and we take those moments and breathe like she talks about in her story, and I highly encourage people to read her story because she really does dive deeper into what she went through and how she found this modality and whatnot. But if you're already doing it, but you start adding some intention behind it, how can that help heal you and change your life? And so I just encourage you to read her story and see how it changed her and how she's helping the world, because it's really incredible. And again, thank you so much for joining our podcast today. And we love the comments. We
Yes.
enjoy them. Send us the questions. And
Yeah.
again, like we mentioned in one of the other podcasts, we won't share all the nitty-gritty when you talk to us. We want to, protect your privacy, but
Yes.
also be able to share these stories and answer your questions, because that's really important to us. And that's just another reason why we do this.
Thank you so much and be well.
We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.